Welcome to this week's episode of Weapons of War podcast. Our topic today is about labels and slogans and how you should rise above them. Labels and slogans are almost as old as the marketing profession. Gimmicks meant to flatter, exhort, thrust both the product and the consumer into an idealistic world. We associate these labels and slogans with class, exclusivity, generally life in the fab lane. On the red carpets, celebrities are asked, "Who are you wearing?" And they drop labels, charming audiences with their class and poise. In turn, we have fallen for the association with these labels. A photo op holding a Starbucks cup or wearing the latest Jordans, etc. We love the labels or the brands. Those are few good have arrived. "Oh, do you see me?" to an association with a general great label. But while a good label leaves you feeling good, a fake label attracts scorn. And this is where we need to pay attention. How have these labels been used on a larger scale more than products and services? The tactic has worked so well that in due time it has been extended to other fields. Yes, for marketing purposes, and yes, for products, but of a different nature. Not the usual products and services, but rather political ideologies. The same way they sold you a McDonald's or Adidas or Pepsi, Coca-Cola is the same template they used to sell you political ideologies. The marked difference is that when marketing products and services, the customer largely knows that they are being targeted to buy. You know that, okay? When you see an advert, you know they want you to buy. But when it comes to political ideologies, you, the consumer, hardly notice. The slogans or labels are packaged as news or truths, usually delivered by a different set of marketeers, guised as news anchors, journalists, experts, etc. Out of nowhere, a slogan pops in the news and it's dropped by, say, an expert. It then morphs into a hashtag as the followers of the said expert pick it up, amplifying it. The news agencies join in, supposedly picking on a trend. The said expert is reached for a comment. Other celebrities' views are also sought. Scholars weigh in. It's now receiving 24/7 news coverage, backed by renowned voices of reason. By this time, many are already feel compelled to join the cause, offering their 2 cents, which in essence is not their 2 cents. It's an echo of what everyone else is saying, but it comes with a feel as if it's coming from you. In a time where it's all about propping up public images, unfortunately, many of us are real-life examples of Mrs. Bouquet in keeping up appearances. The people that birth and propagate these various global agendas also author labels, especially to plaster upon those that disagree with them. They are usually unflattering, of course. So while they have the good labels, they also have the bad ones to silence dissent. They know that only a handful of people have the character to still maintain their stand in spite an ugly label pinned on their foreheads. Many will chicken out and toe the line, and they'll be parroting the said labels. Some of the labels that we've seen around, that one's a racist, that one's an anti-vaxxer, that one's anti-science, which makes you a bit incapable of questioning science, makes you unable to question a vaccine, makes you unable to question a general narrative if you fear to be called a conspiracy theorist or homophobic or religious zealot, whatever label it is. Those labels are meant to silence you, to self-censor, because you fear to be labeled as such. For fear of being labeled something ugly, many people will give up their own views. At best, they remain silent. Yet majority will make an 180-degree turn and start advocating for the very things that they once disavowed. And this is all for the desire to fit in and appear to be in the league of those that are knowledgeable. We shall have an example to this. The latest example has been the scandal of rape and defilement gangs in the UK. Some are calling them the grooming gangs. Many law enforcement officers that were asked why they did not report or apprehend the culprits said that they did not want to be perceived as racist or Islamophobes, because most of the offenders were Muslim men from Pakistan and the victims were largely white girls and women. So police people failed to carry out their duty for fear of being labeled. Lame as this excuse may be, the fear of being labeled a racist paralyzes many into inaction. That's how bad it gets. Let's paint a picture from this article that was in the Telegraph that described some of the victims and instances that happened during this gang rape incidents that used to happen in the UK. This is an example. Muhammad prepared his victims for gang and rape by using a pump. You subjected her, this is a quotation, you subjected her to a gang rape by 5 or 6 men. At one point, she had 4 men inside her. A red ball was placed in her mouth to keep us quiet. Her story is horrific. It's also far from unique. That's a story that was picked from the Telegraph, describing an ordeal one of the girls went through. Take Anna from Bradford, vulnerable and in residential care. At the age of 14, had made repeated reports of rape, abuse, and coercion. When she married her abuser in a traditional Islamic wedding, her social worker attended the ceremony. The authorities then arranged for her to be fostered by her husband's parents, the abuser's parents. You saw what these girls were going through? In Telford, there's one Lucy. This one died at 16 alongside her mother and sister when her abuser set fire to her house in 2000. She had given birth to the abuser's child when she was just 14 and was pregnant when she was killed. These are the abuses that were happening, but people could not report them because they feared to be labeled racist. Her death was subsequently used to threaten other children. The Telford inquiry found particularly brutal threats when one victim, aged 12, told her mother and the mother called the police. There was about 6 or 7 Asian men who came to my house. They threatened my mom, saying they will petrol bomb my house if we don't drop the charges. These were the threats that were going on in the UK, but for fear of a label, the security operatives failed to address this. Yet in the pattern that would repeat itself, Trafford authorities looked the other way when an independent review was finally published in 2022. It revealed that some police officers described parts of the town as no-go areas, while witnesses set out multiple allegations of police corruption and favoritism towards the Pakistan community. This whole scenario is to show you the fear of being labeled something ugly, how it can paralyze so many people. Regardless of the reason, the inquiry found that there was a nervousness about race, bordering on reluctance to investigate crime committed by what was described as the Asian community. As a 2014 inquiry found out, children were dosed in petrol, and threatened with being set alight, threatened with guns. Witnesses were brutally beaten, some raped, and were threatened that they would be the next victim if they told anyone. Girls as young as 11 were raped by large numbers of male perpetrators, one after the other. And the police, we may look for various reasons, but one of them was a reluctance to be called racist. That's why they never addressed these matters. In the same town, a senior police officer allegedly said that the abuse had been going on for 30 years, adding, with it being Asians, we can't afford for this to be coming out. That's what he said. An independent review revealed that at least 1,000 girls were abused in Telford between 1980 and 2009. One of the bleakest cover-ups emerged in Rothschild. 15-year-old Victoria, a vulnerable child in care, died in 2003 when 50-year-old Mohammed injected her with heroin. In the lead up to her death, a review published last year found she had given authorities information that she was involved in sexual exploitation, alleged rape, and sexual assault, requiring medical attention. None of her reports, resulted in a rescue. Across the town, girls as young as 12 were being raped by gangs. But as a former MP put it, the authorities were petrified of being called racist and so reverted to the default of political correctness. As a result, despite a child telling the police they had been raped and providing DNA evidence, no prosecution was brought. So the victims continued walking the streets, terrorizing the towns because the authorities feared to be labeled racist. For fear of a negative label, many people look away as the most heinous of crimes is being committed. Many will bury their heads in the sand. Okay? That's how labels have been used to terrorize, to silence many people. Even slogans. These are being used by the invisible governments to wrap up acceptability of their narratives. Slogans are usually simple, even in marketing. Easy to recall lines that paint a glossy picture of anything they represent. But those short lines are so effective, they capture the soul of the brand without saying much. You may think of finger licking good, or just do it, or the Red Bull that gives you wings, impossible is nothing, think different by Apple. All as simple as they are, they deliver what the brand stands for. These slogans have also been used to sell agendas, to ensure the political ideologies land on receptive hearers. Example, build back better, new normal, safe and effective, stay at home, stay safe, great reset. But you should not be found naive to buy into something simply because of a nice slogan. When it comes to politics, don't judge an agenda by its slogan. Dig deeper than the catchy phrases. You will catch the gist of the matter. It is said that the devil is in the detail. This rings more so when it gets to global agendas. They will say they are building back better, yet their plan is to unleash untold destruction. But if you don't dig deeper, you won't find this out. Before you echo, stay home, stay safe, find out if you are indeed safer staying at home. Could someone be chipping away at your human rights without you even putting up a fight? Take a closer look at the slogans, please, before you amplify them on your socials and among your peers or circles of influence. Do a bit of research on whatever slogan is beamed before you. The other bit you have to look at is the wordplay that is often used. It's all about wordplay. They like something, they coin a good phrase or word for it. I'm talking about the rulers of this world. They don't like something, they'll find some ugly phrase to define it. I'll give an example. Recall when the fight to end female circumcision gained a lot of steam across the world, mainly in Africa, even here in Uganda. It was not called female circumcision. Circumcision was largely acceptable as a word. They called it female genital mutilation. Mutilation, imagine, the mere sound of that word sends shivers down anybody. It sounded so barbaric, deserving no place in today's world. In the minds of the hearers, it drew graphic images similar perhaps to Shaka Zulu's killings at the stake. Fast forward, when it came to the transgender surgeries that involve actual mutilation of the private parts of children, far worse than female circumcision. Do you know what they called it? It's being called gender affirming care. This care involves actual cutting off of a boy or person's private parts to change their sex, the breast, the whatever, anything. But it's not called mutilation, it's called care. But then you find people that vehemently fought female genital mutilation, advocating for gender affirming care. The difference is the wordplay. This extends in other spheres. One will be called a generally transformative visionary, while another a bloodthirsty tyrant. Yet they could all be doing the same things. All the latter could even be better than the former. This is my advice to you, to rise above the slogans, the labels, and the wordplays. You have to grow up here. Be well anchored in your beliefs. If something is black, that's it. No matter how many people say it's white, stick to your guns, unless they present compelling facts to the contrary. But you should not be moved by fear of being labeled something bad. Be moved by your convictions or facts. You'd rather be wrong that way, but have the balls to stand for what you believe is right, even when it means standing alone. Men have stood up against far mightier forces, where it was indeed a matter of life and death. Yet yours could be a matter of mere feelings, and losing a few lame duck friends. Develop a harder skin for criticism. But more so, don't be a sucker for compliments. You desire them and end up working for them. Compliments will become your goal. And just like an addict, you will need a regular fix from anyone, anywhere, no matter what it takes. They will become a drug to you that could drag you down a dangerous tunnel. That's it for today. Till the next episode, stay well.